Hi guys, everyone's wondering what's happening in Iceland. Why is the eruption not starting? Because all the signs point towards the beginning of an eruption like at any second. Because the magma chamber has reached the upper limit, it seems to be very, very full. And since August 5th, we have seen more than 500 earthquakes in this area, where we have seen the last eruptions and along this magma dike, this 15-kilometer long magma dike that has formed on November 10th. And just in the last week alone, it was 450 earthquakes in 1 week. So that is significant. So what is happening? Yesterday, there was even a higher earthquake of magnitude 1.7, and then another one today, magnitude 1.6. The other ones have been in the microseismic range, so now it seems bigger ones are happening. So does that mean magma is on the way out? It seems, because the Met Office is saying, because of this, how the earthquakes are behaving and how full the magma chamber that is underneath Swartsengi and the Blue Lagoon, that's at a very shallow depth, that is full. So everything points towards an eruption. That's why the Met Office is saying an eruption is expected. So the number of the small earthquakes that we're seeing in the Sudnuka crater series keeps increasing. So it is still increasing. And I'm showing you here, this is the latest earthquake map that we're seeing here from the Reykjanes Peninsula. And there you see there has been lots of earthquakes. The ones that are red dots are the most recent ones within the last 0 to 4 hours. So all of these small earthquakes below magnitude 2 and the majority of them that is below magnitude 1 are pointing towards an event. So because all these tremors, they are scattered around the magma corridor, basically from south of Grindavik to north Stora Skogfell. And what the Icelandic Meteorological Office says that right now, there is no volcanic eruption. Well, we know that. The situation is the same as it has been for the last few days. So it's basically, yeah, eruption should happen, but we're still waiting. That's what they're saying. They say the only thing is there is still this slight increase from day to day in seismic activity. So in the last 24 hours, we have seen about 100 earthquakes. So if you consider that we have 500 since August 5th, and then the last week 450, so the majority of them last week, and then just in the last 24 hours 100. So that tells you it's all shifting, it's all clustering, it's coming, right? So Met Office says we're keeping a close eye on it. There's no unrest that points to anything right now. And it has been 3 weeks already since they have increased the danger level because of these earthquakes on the Reykjanes Peninsula. It was raised from uncertainty to the level of danger, and they have released the updated hazard map. So the deformation data and the model calculations clearly show that the land rise and the magma accumulation under Swartsengi is continuing. So it is still building up volume. So everything points towards an eruption. It's the same trend that has been seen before the last eruptions. So that's why Met Office says we are expecting an eruption in the next few days. What is Thorvaldsen saying? Because he said after the last eruption, things could end in the Reykjanes Peninsula and we would not see another eruption. So he was pointing out that everything could be over by the end of August. But now we're dealing with this, and it seems that he has changed his mind a little bit. But what he is saying, because there was a lot of speculation, because the Met Office said that we could see an eruption even inside of Grindavik, or that the lava could flow underneath the defense walls into all these existing fissures in Grindavik and then just come up there, because Grindavik is already like a Swiss cheese, so it could flow through these existing tunnels and come up there. But what Thorvaldur says, he thinks there is almost no chance that a new eruption would occur within the town limits of Grindavik. But you know, basically it kind of has in January when these 3 homes were burned down. That was basically where the homes stopped, and then a little bit this fissure opened and sent the lava burning down the homes. But what Thorvaldur also says, he doesn't think it's going to erupt in Grindavik, but the probability that of another volcanic eruption on the Reykjanes Peninsula is increasing day by day. So he has changed his mind about that too. I mean, yeah, everything points towards that. And he says that based on the calculations that have been made, there is more magma in this shallow magma reservoir underneath Swartsengi than it was before the last eruption began. And the last eruption, it was already very, very full. And that kind of matches what the scientists said, that with each eruption, they need more magma in the magma chamber to trigger the next event. Now there is more magma in the magma chamber, so it is going according to prediction. So Thorvaldur says that magma chamber underneath Swartsengi has exceeded the tolerance limit. So something should happen, right? So he says it is a question of whether something will happen in the next hours or days, but then it will happen. That's basically what he says. And he also doesn't rule out the fact that we could see a more powerful eruption, especially if nothing happens within the next few hours or days, and if the current situation drags on for a few more weeks. He says then the eruption will be somewhat larger and there will be way more lava that is coming out of that eruption. So we will have to see what is going on. Everything is on a similar path like last time. So he says if this eruption doesn't start until the end of September, so well, that's weeks out, that's almost 6 weeks out, then many changes can happen. All sorts of changes can happen. What these changes will be, well, that's hard to determine, but maybe we could see something completely different. Who knows? But he firmly assumes that the coming eruption will take place in similar places along the Sutnuka crater series as we've seen it before. So he still thinks that. He doesn't think that it's migrating somewhere else. So he also says, quote, there is almost no chance of an eruption occurring inside of Grindavik, although we can certainly expect repeated events like January 14th, which would be bad for Grindavik if lava flows into Grindavik and burns down homes. So he says, why does he think this? He says, we don't see any sign of this magma that people always talk about, that it is being underneath of Grindavik. Interesting, because that magma dike that was formed on November 10th is going underneath Grindavik, basically into the sea. So there was magma underneath Grindavik, right? But he says there is a line on the southern side of the Reykjanes Peninsula where we have no craters or cracks, and that Grindavik is south of this line. And because of that, basically, he concludes or he says that it has not erupted south of this line in the past 40,000 years. And he says it's very unlikely that this will happen now. The chances are very small, although we cannot rule them out. That's what he's saying. So interesting. I would like to see a map drawn of where that line is, but especially since we've seen the January event, right? Okay, if it doesn't erupt right inside Grindavik, but if it's erupting very, very close to Grindavik, the lava will flow inside Grindavik. And the teams that are building these defense walls and that are trying to protect Swartsengi and Grindavik, they have said after the last eruption, if the next eruption is the same, as powerful as this, it'll be difficult to defend Grindavik and Swartsengi. So they're not 100% confident that the walls will hold this time. That's why they have ordered this lava cooling equipment for Swartsengi. They have increased the height again, but the volcano is also increasing the height of the lava carpet, and then new lava flows on top of it and makes it easier to breach these defense walls, guys, right? And we have seen breaches of the defense walls in Grindavik and in Swartsengi last time. It was flowing towards infrastructure, towards the power plant, and they were very worried, and they said they were lucky that the eruption ended at this time, right? Had it sent more lava, would have not been very, very good. So overall, there is increased seismic activity all over the country, all over Iceland. So Thorvaldur had something to say about that, about the fact, well, could the pressure that is building up underneath the Reykjanes Peninsula have something to do with the rest of the country, with that activity? I mean, we know the North Atlantic Ridge is cutting Iceland in two halves, and it's going through the Reykjanes Peninsula as well. So Thorvaldur says the tension is building up in many places, and of course that there is a possibility that if there is a release of tension in one place, that it could have a chain effect and affect other places. He says we have many volcanoes and volcanic systems that could also erupt. Well, and he says it's interesting that these earthquakes come in like bursts like this. So clusters like this. So could we see multiple eruptions at the same time in Iceland in different spots? I've reported about this a few weeks ago, because scientists say, yes, the Reykjanes Peninsula did wake up, and we could definitely see that. And that's why they're saying Iceland has to prepare for that as well. So it remains interesting, and it remains to be seen what this volcano will do with the next eruption, guys. And of course, I'll keep you updated about this. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support, for your coffees and everything. And it was really great to basically be live with you yesterday. So I really, really enjoyed that. And I hope that we will be able to do this again very, very soon. So guys, thank you. Stay safe wherever you are. Enjoy the rest of the summer, if it is still summer where you are. And yeah, chat to you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.